Hakeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
Many thanks for tuning in to House Ticket, your regular legislative education on the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. The mood in the House of Representatives was quite sober when it resumed from the Easter break on the 13th of April 2021. This was due to the passing away of two lawmakers during the brief recess. As a result, the House had to adjourn for a week to properly mourn their departed colleagues. On this package, therefore, we'll report the brief proceedings during plenary where it took the decision to adjourn and then take reports from the committee rooms, where standing committees of the House met over the strike by the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, accounting for public funds and other national matters. Stay tuned and we'll be right back with the full details shortly.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
Thanks for staying tuned. The program starts off with a report of the plenary for the week in review, 13th to 15th April 2021, after which we'll take a report from the recent meeting by the Judiciary and Human Rights Committee of the House, where it called on the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, to suspend its nationwide strike. The details.
It was a moment for sober reflection that Tuesday, the 13th of April 2021, when the lawmakers resumed from the Easter recess. The lawmakers mourned the passing away of two lawmakers, namely lawmaker Haruna Maitala, who passed away on the 3rd of April 2021, and Suleiman Lere on the 6th of April 2021.
Honorable colleagues, as you're aware, we tragically lost two of our colleagues in back-to-back in very short period of time. And the leadership has deemed it fit that we adjourn sitting not till tomorrow for the week. And the House will resume sitting next Tuesday. This has never happened before, and we must pay proper respect to both colleagues of ours.
The Speaker, in a brief speech, described the deaths as shocking, painful, and difficult to understand.
Honorable Maitala, like I said, was a quiet, gentleman. He was particularly close to the Deputy Speaker, coming from the same state. We commiserate with his family and those that he has left behind. Honorable Maitala, my understanding was he had even tried to run, if I'm correct, for the House of Representatives a couple of times and lost, and eventually got it, and then this. Ditto, Honorable Larry, the circumstance of his death was again very painful for many of you who may know. He struggled and fought hard for almost 2 years in the law courts in his election petition case, and he eventually won almost after 2 years. And we swore him in just a couple of months ago.
Prayers were offered for the repose of their souls. The House leader also made a comment on the sad events.
Honorable Lere stood off on the floor of the House here, seeking the intervention of this Honorable House to address perennial power supply problem in Lere local government of Kaduna State. Then the Emir now told me please convey to your members that you are now our engineer Leris. Convey to the Speaker that the Speaker is now our engineer Leris. Help us actualize the vision and the mission of this late honorable member. Before he concluded, Mr. Speaker, the Emir broke in tears. That was how the palace got of that moment. As God may have it, and Allah knows the best.
The two lawmakers who had passed away were both serving for the first time in the House of Representatives following the 2019 general elections. In other events around the National Assembly complex, the Speaker addressed the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, and the concerned National Assembly legislative aides, who were on a peaceful protest at the National Assembly's complex Tuesday, the 13th of April 2021. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila promised to intervene in their demands for the implementation of the national minimum wage, conditions of service and trainings of the management and staff of the National Assembly Service Commission.
In your kindness, Mr. Speaker, you would give the directive that these areas that are about 2 years old, 20 months old, are cleared. I should bring this to you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, that does not conclude all our agitations. 8 of the 9th Assembly work from January to December without a dime arrears or any other hazard.
We are looking into it. Sometimes these things can be protracted, but wages owed since 2019 is not excusable. So we will look into it. I will just ask that you be a little bit patient, a little bit understanding. I know there are financial constraints, but one thing I know is that we will make sure that this matter is resolved amicably and your payments or your arrears are paid. Okay? We appreciate you. We appreciate your peaceful, bringing this peacefully to our attention, and we will deal with it appropriately.
We'll take a short break here and come back with stories from the committee rooms where issues concerning human rights as well as public accounts were discussed with stakeholders from the government agencies. Please stay tuned.
We had to do away with the issue of...
If there are challenges, you can always come to the National Assembly.
We must back that effort.
If there was only 2% left, why didn't the ministry inject some money for 20?
Why transferring for the same area that they were planted there? And you expect to come and clap for it?
The strike by the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, which began on the 6th of April 2021, was widely reported to have crippled activities of the judiciary. The House Joint Committee on Judiciary and Human Rights met with the executive of the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, to understand their agitations and mediate for a quick resolution and prevent a reoccurrence. Topping the list of agitations is the clamor for financial autonomy for the nation's judiciary. The meeting of the representatives had agreed that there is need to guarantee the independence of the judiciary to enable the court to function effectively without external interference. The House also reiterated that the autonomy of the judiciary is cardinal to the practice and survival of democracy.
It's been on better welfare for the workers in the judiciary.
The meeting was led by the chairman of the Committee on Judiciary, lawmaker Onofiok Luke. Making the opening remarks, the chairman stated that the 9th House of Representatives was concerned over the impact of the strike on the daily activities of Nigerians in terms of overcrowded police stations, congested correctional centers, especially bearing in mind the COVID-19 pandemic. The lawmakers therefore wanted to know the roles and responsibility they can take on to address the grievances of the striking workers.
From the beginning of this committee, since when we inaugurated, our stand has always been on better welfare for the workers in the judiciary and for judicial officers. And we will not renege on that responsibility, we will not renege on that advocacy, we will not renege on that stand.
The Deputy National President of the association led the delegation from JUSUN. He said that the non-implementation of the judicial financial autonomy till date, even after a court judgment of 2014, was pivotal.
The judgment of court indicates that, okay, we are not clear about what the provision is all about. The judgment is very clear as a pharmacist representing interpretation of what the doctor prescribed. Permit me to use that illustration.
The union had appealed to the House to use its legislative powers to intervene in the right places for the implementation of the judgment. Lawmakers in the interactions that ensued sought to know if there have been some level of compliance by the government. To this, the union replied that at federal government level, it has done the needful, but the funds from the Consolidated Revenue Fund meant to be forwarded to the National Judicial Council in states is yet to get to them. In rounding up the meeting, the Joint Committee pleaded with the union to reconsider the industrial action and resume work in the face of the negative impact of the action. They promised on their part to take on the relevant government bodies to make sure that rule of law forms the basis of decision to be taken on the matter as soon as possible. The lawmakers also appealed to state governments to implement the court judgment, just as the committee said there will be continued engagements with the union over other matters arising. The committee also promised to take the report of the sitting with the union to the House leadership so that further engagements with the governors' forums and other stakeholders will be sought to resolve all issues. In another committee room, the Representative Oluwole Oke-led Committee on Public Accounts sat with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) over the Auditor General's report for 2015 on the following queries raised based on the Federation account. In 2015, NNPC generated the sum of 2.4 trillion naira, deducted from source the sum of 865 billion naira, and remitted 1.5 trillion naira to the Federation account in violation of Section 162 of the 1999 Constitution, which provides that all the revenue proceeds should be remitted for 8 months. In 2015, NNPC was found wanting for non-collection for 8 months, gas and miscellaneous receipts, and the non-refund of 450 billion naira to the Federation account. The Group Managing Director of the NNPC was on ground to respond to the queries.
The NNPC Act is very clear that we should remit revenues net of our cost. Secondly, Chairman, there is an informed decision of the Supreme Court and also of the Attorney General of the Federation that that position is correct and supported by the provisions of the law. Mr. Chairman, also this National Assembly appropriates for all the costs that are being referred to on annual basis as costs that NNPC executes on behalf of the Federation. And they are provided in all the annual appropriation acts, at least since 2015 that this conversation is taking place, Mr. Chairman.
The lawmakers were not convinced with the explanations of the GMD, where he said the actions of the NNPC are also guided by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The committee took a position on the documents backing from the Supreme Court.
We reserve ruling on that, on the query bordering on deductions at source. Yes, the NNPC can keep fund, but that will be fund given to you by the Parliament. This might be a reason for us to go back to board and probably do the needful. But that one agency, a company owned by Nigerians, a company that ought to operate at profit, would generate 1 naira and spend the entire 1 naira as cost of generating the 1 naira is untenable. It's untenable.
The GMD took his leave of the committee while the Chief Financial Officer of the corporation took over the response to other queries raised, such as the non-collection of gas and miscellaneous receipts for 8 months in 2015.
In relation to non-collection of miscellaneous gas receipts revenue for the months in 2015. So we have provided that in our report of 13th November 2020.
Is it from NNG alone?
No.
Can we have the schedule? The schedule is not here.
We attach the payment mandates and the schedule of collection.
Have you collected all that is collectible?
Yes, sir.
Because Auditor General in his query also observed.
Yes.
that your revenue has shrinked, has nosedived.
There was a suggestion by a member of the committee.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we will need the submission of the entire revenue that was collected for that year and the year before, so that we can compare whether there was actually under remittance and possibly the areas where these revenues were generated from, because that will help us to know that whether there was shortfall in our exploration activities or the activities were the same and then the revenue fell by that quantum.
That ended the session with NNPC. The Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, took the seat next, where the Auditor General's queries were raised.
Under Financial Regulation 3111. Moreover, a sum of 125.0 million was paid to staff of the fund as arrears of management allowances for 2017.
The NSITF responded.
The matter concerning this particular issue has been investigated by the EFCC. Everybody knows about that. And the officers at the helm of affairs, as at that time, in the names of Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Olejeme, Omar Rumuni Abubakar, Sir Debayo Adeboale Aderibibe, Chief Richard Uche, Aderemi Adegboyega, had all been charged to court, and the matter is in court currently. At Appendix 14 are some of the court documents to support the fact that the matter is in court and is currently in court, presumably for the purposes of recovering the funds in question. The Honorable Minister, through the then Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Labour and Employment, has also given approval for the immediate interdiction of Mr. Adebayo Aderibiwe and Henry Ekasobi, pending the outcome of the matter in court. Please also find attached extracts from the Honorable Minister's office and other departments within the ministry and court summon on the subject in substantiating the matter as Appendix 14 all through to 14A and other appendices.
The committee reacted to the submission by NSITF.
The managing director is required to account for the sum. We need details of how this money was used. It's not for him to tell us that EFCC, that is not what we are asking. That is not what Auditor General is asking for.
Mr. Chairman, this money was expended by this agency.
Yes.
This money is recorded in their cash book. Mr. Chairman, he needs to provide us the copies of those cash books, copies of the people who took this money. Mr. Chairman, if there is a need for us to ask them to refund this money immediately, Mr. Chairman, there are cases in this country that have lasted in years. They should go ahead and do exactly what the Auditor General of the Federation has asked them to do. Because court summons to us, are you saying we should suspend hearing on the matter because the issue is in court? The answer is no, we will not. We will not. It's an audit report. It must be digested. We must get to the root of it. So we need your cooperation to give us the detail of this expenditure, who took what, and then we have already, by then we would have received the report of Salaries, Income and Wages Commission on what allowances any officer of the agency is supposed to take.
Initially, I'm tempted to agree with the MD with the submission that, okay, since the matter is before a competent court, we are automatically going to, our hands are going to be, tied for not doing anything about it, pending the determination of the issue. But then on a closer look, I am a little bit in doubt as to the linkage between these people mentioned, those that are in court, and the case in hand. This is because the Auditor General said they do not have access. They were not able to inspect either the vouchers, the cash book, talk less of linking these particular officers to the expenditure in question. Therefore, seeing this name that, okay, these people are in court already, whether they are for this same issue or not, nobody knows, because you do not attach the relevant documents that will tell us, yes, these are the vouchers, these are their names, then we'll be able to corroborate and see.
There are no vouchers available to us. Yes, there are none available to us. So this is a serious infraction, I must say. And it's part of the reasons why the FCC came in as at that time, and the matter is in court for the purposes of recovering this money back to the coffers of NSITF.
The lawmakers in their ruling requested that copies of relevant documents in contention be produced within 3 days.
But NSITF is required to furnish this committee with the total expenditure profile, the whole expenditure profile pertaining to this query, including the vouchers, the beneficiaries, the statement of accounts, everything related to this query of alleged diversion of 17.1 billion naira. And this is irrespective of other processes that are going on in the courts and administrative panel and what have you. And from there, we will be able to determine if we need to invite the people who have been mentioned in the said query.
The query was then stepped down pending the submission of the relevant documents. Another query raised was on a sum of 504 million naira, which was transferred from the fund's investments e-collection account to capital expenditure fund account.
Reasons or purpose of the transfer, related documents and approval were not produced for audit. Further review of the record shows that the sum of 100 million out of the total transfer of 504 million was moved back to the investment e-collection account on the 13th September 2017, leaving a balance of 404 million in the capital expenditure account. The managing director is required to account for the sum of 404 million left in the capital account, failing which sanction within Financial Regulation 3115 should apply.
The idea was conceived from the desire to meet up with obligation of the fund. The money to fund ECS CAPEX account would be 10% of amount credited to ECS admin account after splitting for the month. It was equally recommended that the Investment and Treasury Management Department should manage the CAPEX fund pending when ECS CAPEX account will be opened in CBN. In that respect, all the 10% money deducted from ECS admin split was domiciled in this ECS investment account. It is stated that 504 million was transferred from the fund's ECS investment to capital expenditure account. We would like to state that the said amount was not transferred in bulk to ECS investment account. We've gone through our books and could not trace where such bulk transfer was made. The whole amount transferred was done separately at the end of every split. The first amount that was transferred was 145.52 million, and that was done on the 7th of August 2017.
The lawmakers in their ruling also stepped down the query and gave the agency 5 working days to appear before it again with relevant documents.
NSITF, this CAPEX account, has it been opened? When? August 2018. And the query is talking about the movement of 500 million on the 13th of September 2017, right? So this CAPEX account, when it was opened, with which bank did you open it? Can we have the CBN account number for that particular CAPEX account? And what about the investment account? Is it also with CBN or with a commercial bank? Okay, our ruling is this. We will need the account numbers of these two accounts, and when we receive them, clerk, you write to the Central Bank of Nigeria to give us a comprehensive bank statement on these two accounts. Step down till we receive that.
Let us take a last report on the program on the activities of the Speaker in recent times. The Speaker was at the opening ceremony of a two-day Leadership Master Training Program for Nollywood celebrities and stakeholders under the platform of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, AGN. The event held on Friday, the 16th of April 2021. While speaking at the event, the Speaker said Nollywood plays a critical role in influencing culture, defining national character and promoting national identity, which goes beyond economics and profit for industry players. He therefore tasked Nollywood on positive projection of Nigeria's culture and image while seeking the combined efforts of Nollywood to actualize a prosperous nation. The two-day event saw the convergence of Nollywood actors across the country in Abuja for the training. In another scene, the Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila paid a visit to the Secretariat of the National Association of Resident Doctors (NAD) in Abuja Tuesday, 13th April 2021. The Speaker, while meeting with the executives of the association, assured the doctors of the lawmakers' commitment to see to the amicable resolution of issues like the hazard allowance, amongst other contentions raised by the union recently. He added that the House would meet with the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning to address all matters raised by the resident doctors and ensure the execution of the Memorandum of Understanding entered into by the Union and Federal Government, which led to the suspension of the industrial action. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila commended the doctors for calling off the strike and promised that the House will see to the inclusion of the hazard allowance in the upcoming supplementary budget to be forwarded to the House by the Executive. Many thanks for being a part of the program as always. Remember to keep tabs on the activities of your elected lawmakers in the House of Representatives by watching House Ticket on this station. Let's keep hope alive as the battle against COVID-19 continues. Keep to safety rules always. See you next time.